This video is going to teach you how to drive a manual transmission, and I'm going to be using my 99 F250 with a 7.3 turbo diesel. The very first thing you want to do when you get in the vehicle with the manual transmission is figure out your shift pattern. So mine's got an aftermarket shift knob, so I don't know what gears I'm in. Just kidding, I know my pattern. But if you don't know your pattern, you're gonna have to look it up, or if your car is stock, you should have the pattern on top of the shift knob. So for this particular case, reverse is all the way to the left, and up is reverse. And if your car is also like that, you'll notice there's a little bit of resistance before you go over. So it's kind of hard to put it in reverse instead of first because you have to give it that extra push. So if your car is like that, you go over till you feel resistance and up, and that'll be your first gear. So you want to get familiar with your shift pattern first before you start driving. You know, go through your gears, know where they are so you don't make any mistakes and money shift it and blow your car up. Okay, next thing you want to get familiar with is your clutch pedal. So when you're pushing on your clutch pedal, you'll go down, push right to the floor. When you go to release it, you'll feel where the clutch starts to kind of push back on your foot a little bit heavier than when it's at the floor. And this is called the bite point. So when the truck is running, you'll feel the truck try to move a little bit. Now it's a lot easier to learn in a vehicle that has a lot of torque. So if you start with a diesel car, like even a Golf, for example, it's a lot easier because it has a lot more torque, so you don't have to give it as much throttle to get it moving. But when you get to the bite point of your clutch, that's when you start to push on the gas a little bit, and then you let go of the clutch slowly. You don't just drop it, or your car will likely stall.
A bit of gas.
So when it gets to that point, start to give it some gas, and then you'll begin moving. When starting a manual transmission vehicle, push the clutch down, make sure it's in neutral, and then you're gonna make sure it's in neutral, and then you're gonna make sure it's in neutral, and then you can start it. And then make sure it's in neutral, and then take your foot off the clutch and you're good to go. So once the vehicle is moving down the road, so you'll be in your first gear, clutch is out, you're giving it some throttle, and then all you're gonna do, let off the gas, clutch in, next gear, slowly let the clutch out. When you get to your bite point, start giving the throttle and ease off the clutch. And then you do that for every gear, just like so. And you'll be going down the road. Now, when you go to downshift, you have two options. Option one, push the clutch in, neutral, and then use your brakes to slow down like normal. Once you get a little bit more experience with driving, then you can downshift. So say you're in fourth gear, right? Going along, clutch in, third gear, blip the throttle, release the clutch, RPMs come up to where they should be for third gear at that speed. You have to experiment with your car to find out what gears are what speed, and then you can slow down that way. It does sound a little bit more cool than just neutral and coasting. And that is the very basic overview of how to drive a manual transmission. Obviously there's a lot more to it, but you basically just have to drive the car and figure out the rest on your own. That is the best way, is to just do it. So if you're contemplating buying a manual car or not, just go buy it, drive it home. When I first got my first manual car, I didn't know how to drive manual. I just went and bought the car, figured it out, stalled like 20 times on my way home. But after driving for like a week, it just becomes second nature. You just do it. You just are the automatic transmission at that point.